Say you want it, feature pen. You write books, film, song, not even there, so it end. The way you work, really, them have to respect it, my friend. Nah, I beg nobody, nothing.
Hello everyone, J Mullings from Written Mirror here, AKA Wicked Penman. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video, share the playlist, share the Written Mirror and the Wicked Penman channels with your friends, family, so on and so forth. I'm wishing you all a happy holiday season, and I hope we, see you through into 2021. Right, this week's video, and I wanted to talk about, first of all, this is my usual camera that I film on. It's the Panasonic Lumix GH5S. And you're probably wondering to yourself, if I have this in my hand now, what is it I'm filming with? So let me first say that this video is not sponsored by Panasonic. It does obviously have product placement by virtue of me just showing this camera counts as product placement. That and Panasonic kindly sent me the Lumix S5 to try. So that's what I'm shooting this on at the moment. What I'm going to be doing is giving you my first impression of this camera. And then also I will be shooting some content on this. So with the exact same settings, exact same focal depth. The lens is obviously slightly different. The camera bodies are slightly different, but it's all about seeing if you'll be able to tell a difference, a tangible difference. And yeah, it's not a review per se, because it's not really what I do. I have very specific ideas of how to utilize the technology available to me. I wouldn't never want to put that on someone and say, this is the only way you can use this, that. I'm not one of those people. Also at the same time, there are people who do much better jobs at fully detailing how each of these pieces of technology works and what's going on behind it. I kind of stay somewhere in the middle of, I know some of the tech stuff, but then most of it is how I can kind of implement it and work with it technically and the length of time I can take to do so. So anyway, my first impression of the S5, I was about to say the GH5S, it's not. The S5 was the actual body of the camera was very, very light. This, I don't know if you can, it's got a lot of weight to it, right? The GH5S, it's a sturdy, very, very packed body. But the minute I picked up the S5, I knew, well, it's, what is it, like 3 years? 3 years the junior of the GH5S. The assumption I made was it would be like the same thing when Sony would go from one PlayStation to a slim version. You understand that they've miniaturized a lot of the technology. They've found ways to reduce on space, size, and weight. So I believe, I felt at least, and I'll put both of them on the scales, but it was substantially lighter than this camera. And that's with a bigger lens attached to that one. That one, it came with a kit lens, which is, what is it? I believe it's a 20 to 100 millimeter. So it's a zoom lens, Lumix lens. Whereas this one is a 17 to 50. It's not my heaviest lens, but even so, that rig is comfortably lighter than this one, which means that for a start, you'll be able to take that into more places. It'll be a lot more versatile. The GH5S is more of a filmmaker's tool, if we're being honest. I like that Panasonic makes like these hybrid cameras. When I say hybrid, as in, if you're a filmmaker, you can use them. If you're a photographer, you can use them for photography as well. I think my first impressions again of this Lumix S5 is, it is almost slap bang in the middle. It's meant to give you the best of both in terms of performance. Whereas, like I said, the GH5S was always meant to be more of a filmmaker's tool, even to the point of not having any kind of stabilization inside, and it wasn't really made for autofocusing, this camera. I never use it for that anyway. I never really autofocus. Like even now I manually focus this video. So actually I will do another video where I turn on the autofocus. I want to see what it's all about. I've always heard and seen, because I've like done my research, if you want an autofocus camera, so if you want something that you can hold for blogging, vlogging, all of that stuff, there are other camera makes that you would tend to go for. Lumix is more, I think it's more aimed at the professional, someone who knows how to manipulate a camera and its features. It's not really a beginner's camera. That, and I wonder if that's going to be in my recording. I can hear a plane flying over. But anyway, yeah, it's more for people who understand. So whether you're an intermediate or an advanced camera operator or someone who understands photography and film very well, I think that's when you look into the Lumix side of things. Whereas, you know, the Sonys are kind of like run and gun, and people who, if you don't know what you're doing, you just kind of pick it up, autofocus, run away, go away with it, it's fine. And the Canons are somewhere in between. And then like your Fujifilm is like awesome color technology, color science. So it's good for, you know, if you want really vivid photography, so on and so forth, you'd usually go the direction of Fujifilm. They all have their respective strengths and weaknesses, whereas I think Lumix is sort of somewhere in the middle. And then I guess the part that frustrates many people, or many people who like Lumix cameras, is they'll have different models that there's almost an overlap between them, but one kind of goes the other one. Whereas I feel like this camera is perfectly in the middle. Well, let's not use the word perfect, but it's really balanced. You're a filmmaker or you're a photographer, I think the S5 offers the best value. And that's, you know, it's got the S1H and the S1, but yeah, this one is pretty good. Again, if you want like an extensive list of all of the features of this camera, please go and check out other YouTubers. I may even put some in the description so you can go and find those videos. I'm just telling you about I'm going to have a lot of experience with this camera by the time that the loan period is over. But yeah, my initial thoughts are, like I said, a lot lighter, and the features seem to be very much in the middle, whereas the GH5S was more towards the filmmaker side. But it takes very good photos, but you know, I can feel like this we'll wait and see. Like I need to actually physically see it and compare it. So the idea is, like I said, now I'm in a controlled environment. So the lighting will remain the same, and I'll literally just remove that camera, put this one on, do another video, and then I'll be able to kind of look at one versus the other and see. I would say I'm certain of one result versus the other. Sorry, to keep it 100, I modified my camera. So the S5 is a full frame camera, whereas the GH5S is not, but I've modified it so it is a full frame camera. So really and truly, it is a very good comparison. Although, you know, the modifications costed a few pennies, whereas you're getting that straight out of the body with that. Also, my modification means I can use Canon mount lenses, which is good again, because, you know, there's plenty of lenses for me to try that are good value and so on and so forth. But yeah, obviously I got to thank Panasonic again for being kind enough to let me trial one of these. But yeah, I am very much looking forward to, I'm gonna be throwing a hell of a lot at this camera. I'm really excited to see what it can do. The retail price of these, the body of the camera can set you back around, yeah, it's around a $2,000 camera, truthfully. The lens that comes with it, the kit lens, the 20-100 is, again, it's around $1,000, this lens. It's not cheap. Then again, the body of the S5 costed less than what my GH5S costed. So really and truly, for a camera that's a few years younger and has a lot of features that this didn't have just out of the box, I would say it's still very good. It still represents very good value. There is the S1H, which is around 4,000. And so, you know, this one kind of lies somewhere in between, but a lot of the features that this one offers overlap with the S1H. That's why I think this is a very good, you know, a very good camera. Obviously, I'm saying obviously a lot. I use my GH5S to shoot pretty much everything that you see on my channel when it's not drone related, obviously. And I used it for my first feature length film, The Jam. So I'm looking at, and at the time, what I wanted was a camera exactly like the S5. It just, Lumix, Panasonic never had it at the time. So I had to buy mine and modify mine. But mine is very versatile, in which I can use a variety of lenses. I can use very cheap lenses, I can use very expensive lenses and get very good quality out of it. I don't have to worry about cropping of my image, so on and so forth, vignetting, all of that. That's not an issue that I ever had to worry about with this. Whereas that's by default in the body of the S5. I guess then after that, you just look at your lenses and what choices you want to make stylistically from there. And you can get modifiers to allow you to put other lenses on there as well. So you can pretty much do what I've done with this, with that camera. It's just also the camera is, by and large, is better. The technology is a lot more advanced than that one. It does up to 5K, yep, which is amazing. Again, in a kind of prosumer range, that's very, very impressive. You can get up to 5K out of that. So the first thing I didn't like was I opened it up because I have an external recorder. I have an Atomos. I can never remember the name of it. If it's the Shogun or the Ninja, which allows me to record in 10-bit as well. But it uses an HDMI. I'm used to using HDMI to HDMI. So this one has an HDMI. Oh, you won't be able to see it from there anyway. This has a standard HDMI port. So a normal size HDMI would fit this. The S5 uses a micro HDMI, and I can already tell it's going to be problematic because it sits exactly where the screen pops out, you see? So in the case of this one, no, you'd still have the same problem, I guess, in that if you pop this out, you put the cable here, you can't see the screen, or you can't adjust it, none of that, because the cable will be in the way. They have the same issue with that one. They've made other adjustments on the actual body of the camera, but they're still pretty much the same. I just think this is obviously more tactile. It's meant to be held, whereas that one I think is more lightweight. It's meant to be anchored to something or placed in something. I put a cage over mine again because, you know, just in case something were to happen and you don't want to break your camera. You know, it's too much of an investment to, I guess even with the S5 you could find a cage for it, put it inside a cage and it would be more secure. That's another thing I noticed. The memory card slots are not the same. I find that very, very irregular actually, for them not to be the same. But then again, the camera doesn't do some of the high bitrate stuff that you would require the faster speed of card for. So I guess that's why one is high speed and one isn't. But in general, I would just like both of them to be the same. I don't quite understand why they're not. Yeah, those were the main things. Those like my first impressions. Oh yes, and the battery is different in the S5, like completely different. Well, they're the same. The actual shape of it, the profile of it is the same. So I could take the battery out of that and put it in this. But it has a few other little bits of technology in it, and the charger tells you what percentage the battery is at the time, which is quite helpful. And also you could just drop your battery in it and it will tell you how charged it is. But you can't use the battery from the GH5S or the G series. You can't use a battery from this and put it in that. So I'm a bit like, by all accounts, like I said, the first impression I have, this is the first time I'm using the camera. I've done several videos with it now. The battery life is pretty good. It will hold up. I can tell I will be able to get hours and hours out of this. So I guess it's it's one of those things where, you know, when you're initially impacted by it, it sucks, but sooner or later you get used to it. You know, these things all have to change and evolve. But anyway, lots more videos coming. My plan was not to declare what video was shot on what, but because of the rules when you're YouTubing and stuff about, you know, being transparent about product placement, so on and so forth, I have to tell you. So you'll know what video is using a GH5S, which is my camera, and then which videos use the S5, and then you can kind of make a choice as to which one is different. And then I'm going to go out and do some photography on both sides. And again, we'll see. I'll try and replicate the settings as closely as possible. But, you know, I would say, so far, I would say it's definitely worth looking at the S5 as opposed to the more expensive ones, which are like twice the price. You can get a lot of bang for your buck out of the S5. But anyway, J Mullings from Red Mirror, AKA Wicked Penman. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you want me to do more videos like this, or let me know if you want me to do more of a deep dive review. I'm trying to keep it light because at the end of the day, there are people who really do take their time and dedicate themselves to reviewing products. I'm more of someone who wants to evaluate it based on how useful is it and how easy is it to pick up and integrate into what I'm doing. I wouldn't really call that more a review as much as I would say it's more of an analysis, I guess. But anyway, I'm out.